This podcast is sponsored by The Generational Algorithm by Francisco Castillo. Discover how to rewrite the emotional code passed down through generations and transform your life. Get your copy today on Amazon at the link in the description.
How storytelling helps heal intergenerational trauma. Explore how storytelling plays a vital role in confronting and healing intergenerational trauma, offering hope for rewriting family trauma patterns. The power of storytelling in healing family wounds. You know, when we talk about family trauma, especially the kind that passes down from one generation to the next, whether you call it intergenerational trauma, inherited trauma, or ancestral trauma, it's not always easy to put into words what's really happening beneath the surface. There's this invisible thread that ties family members across decades, sometimes centuries, and storytelling turns out to be one of the strongest tools we have to recognize, confront, and even heal those wounds. Think about it like this. Every family has its stories, right? Stories about struggles, triumphs, loss, shame, or even joy. But when trauma has been passed silently, through patterns of behavior, emotional responses, or even physical health issues, these stories often get buried. And that silence, while sometimes meant to protect, often just magnifies the pain. Storytelling breaks that silence. Why does storytelling really matter so much when it comes to multi-generational trauma? Well, first off, it's about making the invisible visible. When you start to tell your family's story, you're connecting the dots between what happened to your grandparents, your parents, and how it's showing up in your life today. This awareness is the first step toward transforming the patterns you might feel stuck in. For example, imagine growing up in a family where emotional expression was treated like a taboo. You might not realize that this behavior wasn't about you personally, but was a way to cope with inherited trauma from previous generations. By sharing stories, telling the story of why emotions were suppressed or how past family members struggled, you can begin to understand this context, feel less isolated, and approach your own healing with compassion rather than judgment. Another amazing aspect of storytelling is how it creates connection. When family members come together to share openly, it builds empathy and helps everyone feel seen and understood. This can disrupt those old cycles of silence and shame that perpetuate family trauma. There's a sense of community in those shared stories, a realization that you don't have to carry the weight alone. And sometimes, storytelling goes beyond just the family circle. When people share stories about ancestral trauma publicly, through books, podcasts, or even social media, it reduces stigma and raises awareness about the realities of transgenerational trauma. It's a way of saying, this happened, but it doesn't define us. We can rewrite the script. This idea of rewriting the script reminds me of an incredible resource I recently came across called The Generational Algorithm. It's a thoughtful guide that explains how emotional programs are passed down and gives practical steps to change these inherited patterns. If you're interested in understanding how you can rewrite emotional legacies within your family and shift away from the damaging effects of family trauma, this book is a solid place to start. Take a moment and check it out here. Buy now on Amazon. It offers clarity and hope for anyone dealing with the weight of multi-generational trauma and looking to create a better future for themselves and their descendants. At the end of the day, the stories we share, whether around the kitchen table or through books and podcasts, give us permission to heal. They remind us that while we inherit trauma, we are also inheriting strength, resilience, and the power to change the narrative for the generations to come. So next time you find yourself hesitant to bring up family pasts, remember how important those stories are, not just for honoring where you came from, but for shaping where you're going. It's a gift to yourself and everyone who comes after you.